Hello, welcome to Cortex Skills. In this video, we are breaking down one of the most talked about new standards in AI, which is Model Context Protocol, or you can call it MCP. If you have been seeing this term pop up everywhere and wondered what it actually means, you are in exactly the right place. By the end of this video, you will understand what MCP is, why it was created, how it works, and why it matters for the future of AI. So let's get into it. Okay, so let me start with the question. What if your AI assistant could actually use your apps and not just talk about it? So usually, even I have done this many times that I will ask ChatGPT some question and about some other application and will ask how to do that particular thing with that app and tell me step by step process about it. And then honestly, it's not very feasible way of doing the stuff. So now when I know that okay, my chat GPT or Claude can directly go to that app and do that particular thing for me, how cool that is. I would definitely do it. And yes, that is actually in reality right now through MCP. Okay, so let's get to know some background about it. So currently in market there are 100 plus MCP tools publicly available. MCP was launched in 2024 by Anthropic, which is a very famous cloud launching company, and it is open standard which is also adapted by OpenAI and Google. Okay, to understand why MCP matters, you first need to understand the problem it solves. And that is not at all a small problem that it is solving. It's a very big problem, which is also known as N into M problem. Now, what is N into M problem? Here is what it means. Imagine you have 4 AI models, for example, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Llama, which is Google. Or you can take for imagination any one that you like, and you want each one of them to connect to 5 different tools. In this case here, for example, Gmail, Slack, database, G Drive, and search. Okay, I have taken ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Llama. Now here, when I'm connecting each of these AI models with the tools that I require, it's creating 20 separate integrations to build and test and maintain. So I have 4 into 5 tools. That means 20 custom connections to maintain. Now as you add more tools or models, complexity explodes and everything breaks when one side updates. Okay, so how this happens? So I have a ChatGPT, I will connect ChatGPT to Gmail. I will do whatever the integrations are required. I will take ChatGPT again, connect it to Slack. Again, same thing will repeat for this all of these tools 5 times. Same things I will be repeating for Claude. Same things will get repeated for Gemini, and same process will get repeated for the fourth model. And it creates 20 custom connectors to maintain. Now, what if Slack updates something into their application? In that case, I'll have to go and again integrate the Slack with GPT. So this creates not very feasible architecture to work with. So what MCP does it solves this problem uh, by creating, instead of N into M, it creates N plus M integrations. and that we are going to see in the next slide. Okay, what is MCP? Let's know in the plain English. MCP is a model context protocol. It is a universal standard that lets any AI connect to any tool using one shared language. So for example, here, think of it like as a USB-C port for AI. So before USB-C, every device needed different cables. We call them Lightning or the Android. I don't know. That's how I know those. But since the USB-C has came into the market, USB-C has standardized it. So now all the devices are very feasible with USB, and the same way MCP is doing for AI. Okay, so the important thing is this isn't owned by any one of the company. Yes, it was founded and created by Anthropic, but they donated it to Linux Foundations in late 2025. So OpenAI and Google are both on board with this. So it's genuinely an open standard now, and which is a big deal for long-term trust and adoption. And it works across all major AI tools. Okay. Now let's look at how MCP actually is structured. And there are 4 key components you need to understand in MCP. First one is host. Host is basically an application or AI that you are using. So for example, Cloud Desktop, VS Code or Cursor here. So the AI app users interact with is a host, and which is here. Second is client. Client lives inside host, which is not seen by user, but it runs in the background. And what it does is it takes what the AI wants to do and converts it into MCP protocol format, and tools can understand. Like here, MCP client is converting the instructions into JSON RPC protocol to send it to MCP server. Now there is a server. Each external service like Gmail, database, Slack, and all these tools that you are seeing here has its own MCP server. So it is a lightweight program that sits in between in front of the services and exposes its capabilities to any AI that speaks MCP. Then there is tools. Tools are basically the applications that you are connecting your AI with so that you can use it inside your AI. So the client and server, MCP client and MCP server communicates using something called JSON RPC protocol, which just means they exchange structured messages in standard format. You don't need to know technical details. The key point is that it's standardized, reliable and secure. Okay, I am planning to make a different video to go in deeper with these components and explain it in detail. If you want to know more about these components and you want me to make video going deeper into this, comment below and I will make a different video on this. Next, let's go to the next one. So next slide is how MCP works step by step. So let's walk through exactly what happens when you use an AI powered by MCP in 5 steps. First one is user ask. So for example, user has asked to schedule a meeting and email the invite. This is what a user has sent to AI, to any of, so for example, ChatGPT or Claude, which is my favorite. That is a step 1. Step 2 is host plus LLM decide. So host and AI model figures out what tools they need. In this case, they are going to need a calendar tool and a Gmail tool. Okay. Now step 3, the MCP client reaches out to the relevant servers and asks, what can you do? What tools do you offer? And the server responds with a list of their capabilities. This is step 3. Then step 4, the AI uses the client to call those tools. The calendar creates the meeting event, the Gmail server sends the email, and both happens in the same session with the context shared between them. Step 5, AI comes back to you with a confirmation that is done, meeting schedule and invite sent, and task successful. That's what we wanted. So the whole thing happens in seconds, and here is a powerful part that it works exactly the same way regardless of whether you are using Claude, ChatGPT or any other MCP. The tools don't care which AI is talking to them because they all speak the same language. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so traditional integrations versus MCP. Before MCP and with MCP. Let's put this side by side so the difference is crystal clear. Before MCP, every integration was custom, and if you wanted GPT to read your Slack message, you wrote one connector. If you want Claude to do same thing, you write a different connector for the same application. Switch AI providers, start over. Tools updates its API, your connector breaks. It was fragile, expensive and did not scale. With MCP, one standard protocol. Build once on each side and connect everywhere. Okay, next. Okay, so for example, the Gmail team builds one MCP server. Every AI that supports MCP can now use Gmail forever, without anyone writing extra connectors for any time you have to use it in future. So this is where the math changes from n times m to just n plus m. You have suppose 4 tools and you have to connect 4 tools to your 4 AI. Now if it is n into m in in the way previously we are using, it would be 4 into 4, that is 8 connectors. Oh sorry, not 8, it's 14 connectors. And here now it's just n plus m, that is 8 connectors. So that is how it reduces the complexity of the task. There are also pre-built MCP servers already available for most popular tools like GitHub, Slack, Gmail, Google Drive, Postgres databases, and more. In many cases, connecting your AI to the services now takes hours instead of months. Okay, now let's make this completely concrete with real example. You open your AI assistant and type, find all the emails about Q3 report, summarize them, schedule a review meeting for this Friday, and send a Slack message to the teams letting them know. Here, this one. Without MCP, that's four separate apps you would have to open manually, copy from Gmail, paste into notes, switch to calendar, type the meeting, open Slack, write the message. 5 to 10 minutes of work minimum. But with MCP, the AI coordinates for MCP servers simultaneously. Gmail, calendar, database, Slack. It reads the email, generates summary for you, creates the calendar event and sends the Slack notification all in one go. In under 10 minutes and you didn't touch a single app. That is the power of MCP. So this is what people mean when they say AI agents, not just chatbot that answers questions, but AI that can actually do the work for you in the real world across real tools on your behalf. Okay, so let's lock in the 5 things you should walk away knowing from this video. 1. MCP is the USB-C of AI. One universal standard that replaces hundreds of custom integrations. 2. It solves N into M problems. Instead of building connector for every AI and tool combination, you implement MCP once on each side and everything connects. 3. Open standard not owned by anyone. It's genuinely open standard. Anthropic created it, but it's now governed by Linux Foundation. OpenAI and Google are both on board with this, and no single company owns it or controls it right now. 4. Powers real AI agents. MCP is what powers real AI agents. Without it, AI can only answer questions. With it, AI can actually make with MCP, AI can actually take actions. It can take actions in your app, in your database, your workflow. And 5. Security matters. MCP server have real access to your data and your tools. Only connect servers you trust. Pay attention to the permissions you grant and be aware that this is still a maturing ecosystem. So always check your permissions before using MCP and only connect trusted MCP servers. Okay, so to wrap it up, MCP makes AI go from talking to doing. When until now you were just talking and asking AI questions and it was just answering your questions, now it can actually do the stuff for you according to your instructions. And please do subscribe the channel. It genuinely helps it grow. And next video is going to be about how AI agent actually work. So stay tuned for it, and thanks for watching.